what's happened in the last video.
I spent hours getting the ingredients for that cake. You don't even understand.
And here is more MrDudeManSir.
I don't know what time it was when Olga Dmitrievna woke me up, but even before opening my eyes I felt the imminence of death. My whole body ached, I felt dizzy, my mind was clouded by haze. Semyon, wake up immediately or you miss breakfast, and more importantly, the lineup! You cannot do that! It's against the rules. Looks like the camp leader intends to exploit me to the fullest today, the same as any other day. I garbled. You garbled? Sure. Covered my head with a blanket and turned to the wall. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna's anger will never go beyond words. At least I really wanted to believe so then. Stand up right now or what? I was going to say triumphantly, but kept silent. Not because of fear, just because I felt too lazy to open my mouth. Really? What could you do to me? Lecture me a lineup, hang my photo on the wall of shame? Use me for an inhuman alien one of these is not the same as the others. Well, I'm ready for that too. Just let me sleep on a couple more hours. Okay, but if you miss the lineup, you'll be a dead man. Doors slammed behind the camp leader and slept, which has been, in the sleep that has been outfaded, something, mind again. Dots. I woke up dazzled by sunlight. It was what? Freak. Doesn't look like you woke up too much. You missed the lineup, young man. According to my cell phone, which was squeezing the last drop of charge out of its battery. Okay, let's get this straight. You've had a cell phone for 6 days on one battery charge, and it's still on. My phone could die in 4 hours in sleep mode. You have some sort of top-of-the-line phone. Strangely enough, my body didn't ache, my head felt clearer, and all in all, it was a good beginning to the day. After waving my arms, pretending to do early exercises, I sprang out of the cabin and headed to the washhands, so I can get naked and see more naked girls again. Get into more weird situations. Yeah, I slept through breakfast, but it'll be served lunch soon, so I shouldn't worry about that. I'll have to stay hungry like I did yesterday. Along the way, I met a pioneer whose face on my look, it's you. I believe that is you. Because you never see your face fully. You never have eyes. You're like a ghost. But I was going so fast I couldn't really see him. When I turned around, he was already gone around the corner. Huh. That's gonna come back someday. I hope today. I want something to happen. I want some climactic things. There was nobody near the washstands. Everyone was probably busy. And she knows what she's doing, and God knows what else. I quickly brushed my teeth, washed my face, and I was already going to leave when I suddenly heard the sound of water flowing from my opposite tap. Hey, me. How you doing? I couldn't see his face, but judging by his figure, he looked like it was the one I saw a couple minutes ago. How you doing? The sun's so bright today, says me. I looked up to the sky, shielding my eyes with my palm. Yeah, nothing special, me. It wasn't easy to get a better look at the pioneer. Given the way he stood, the bright sunlight that reflected on the water and shiny metal surfaces of the washstands heavily obscured his face, and I wasn't able to distinguish any single feature. The camp leader is angry today. So angry. His voice sounded painfully familiar too. It sounded like mine. Well, she's always like that, me. Well, you know better. Yeah. I tried to remember if I've ever heard his voice or seen this pioneer before, but then I realized that he was me. But he said see it before I realized that. He turned to the water off and quickly marched towards the forest path. For a second I thought of following him, stopping him, but I quickly fought it off as I decided it's not worth spoiling such a great morning with suspicious and burdensome speculations. Nature was glowing with bright, full of life. Lush treetops were rhythmically swaying in the wind, whispering to each other. The breeze gently stroked high emerald grass. Birds were cooing in the shade, escaping the midday heat. The woods and fields stretched beneath the horizon, were dissolving in warm sunlight. I don't know which month it is, but it looks like midsummer. I distinctly remember the summer vacations of my childhood and youth, times of fun, leisure, and carefree joy. What happens if summer ends? I mean, this game's called Everlasting Summer. so I don't know what happens when summer ends. It's probably just the game ends or something like that. Probably ends before that as well, because if I have the last like 90 days in this game, that's just going to be way too long. Childhood games, how many were there? I wouldn't say no to playing war games or hide and seek now. Or swinging on a bungee. Or maybe building a sandcastle and inhabiting it with toy soldiers ready to defend their master in the last drop of their plastic blood. You sound like some sort of 5-year-old. But hey, anyone could have fun with those green little men. I went to the square and sat on the bench waiting for lunch. It looked like there wasn't much time left for it. From time to time, pioneers passed by me, sometimes alone, sometimes in pairs or groups of 3. But always, someone I didn't know. Alyssa, Olyana, Lana, and Slavi were nowhere to be seen. Thoughts about meaninglessness of existence were circling my brain, but it didn't worry on me too much on such a beautiful day. Just think about it. Who can get grieving for his life and lived in vain for lost early and basking in raises? That is... So whenever you just sit, you think about how meaningless your life is? Good for you. Certainly not me. I looked upon Genda. I was meditating, as always. I mean, he was. Now he definitely never gets any unnecessary doubts. I remembered my first hours in this camp and the day before. The anguish, the anxiety and fear. That all seems so far away now, although so little time has passed. Will I get out of here or not? It didn't concern me as much as before. Maybe I'm already dead. Then this is the last stop. Please get off the train. What? Hello? Are you just following me now? Well, I guess you're me, so you run the same paths. Hey, I just realized something. On the shirt, the right little insignia. That is the insignia of the game. That must be like the Pioneer Camp's insignia. I don't know why I'm just realizing this, but that's cool. What are you talking about, me? I looked up and saw the Pioneer I'd seen before. I couldn't see his face again because I never see my face. I don't even think I have a face. But the sun was shining in my eyes. You know, life. It seemed he would sit down next to me, but the Pioneer stayed in the same place, only half turned, which completely killed any hope of seeing his face. Listen, have we met earlier? I don't think I remember you. Well, let's just say you know who I am. But I don't. I laughed sincerely. Here, you don't. He answered short. Wait, what? Is this like the alternate me? Maybe, I don't know, I'm going to let the game unravel itself, but it seems it's getting juicy. Honestly, it's not like I didn't want to talk, I just didn't know what to talk about. And my soul was so calm that this didn't bother me. Your first time here? He asked the question, but this tone implied that he was only expecting a confirmation. Yeah, and you? Me? He paused for a few seconds. Nah, this is my first time here. You might say that I visited this camp every year since my early childhood. Such an answer got me interested. Well, what was it like before? It's always the same. Olga Mitrievna being the camp leader, all the same pioneers around, all the same lineup at the morning, and all these wicked accidents. For a moment I thought that it was speaking, not him. It was me speaking, not him. Interesting. Just that, with every new, he hesitated, year, more and more interesting things happen, and one gets to understand better what's going on. What are you talking about? This conversation positively triggered my curiosity. It's a pity that I can't distinguish the face of this pioneer at all. Well, every session in the pioneer camp reminds me of the previous one, she said calmly. Probably. This is my first. It shows. The pioneer grinned. But it looks like it won't be the last. Oh, it's fun here and all of it. You know how they say, there's no place like home, but you still have to get back there. Now I was absolutely sure this guy was hiding something from me, like everyone. To be precise, he stood out too much from the camp's usual ordinariness and was too different from the local inhabitants. What do you mean? You think I'm stuck here forever or something? I said, enunciating every word. The pioneer had no time to answer as the lunch bell sounded. Huh. Well, now they're bringing some sort of psychological thriller into this game, and I like it. I turned my head towards the loudspeaker, and by the time I looked back, the guy was already gone. Thousands of theories and speculation instantly appeared in my mind, but I stopped myself. remembering all the apparent normality of its camp. After all, nothing supernatural happened in these 5 days. Moreover, everything here seemed too natural, sometimes even boring. Maybe this pioneer didn't mean anything by that, and I just misunderstood him. Nah. Thinking that, I went to the canteen, intending to feast on some foods. Hello, millions of people I've never been able to see outside this canteen here. Sometimes it seemed to me that lunch here is akin to the crowds around the soup kitchens during the famine. Pioneers are running around, pushing each other, trying to crawl through the first meal and take the most comfortable table. I was calmly standing and patiently waiting for the cook to get me my assigned food rations. Oh, an okoroshka. An okroshka is a traditional Russian cold soup. For lunch today, we had oroshka, which I didn't really like, and cutlets with potatoes. I sat in a corner and mentally rejoiced that I would be able to eat in peace. My table was the farthest in the kitchen. I could reasonably hope that the pioneers who were looking for a free place wouldn't reach it. Or would reach it last. However, when I moved on to the main course, Slavia Shurk Electronic appeared from the crowd. Hi. Sure. I had nothing against their company. Of course. Lunch was already going surprisingly calm. Even Electronic was jabbering as he usually does. I finally finished the meal, sprawled out in my chair, satisfied, clicked my tongue. Listen, do you know this pioneer? I saw him today. You know, he's so... I suddenly realized that I don't really know how to describe him. Well, about my height, same constitution. Hard to say, from such a description. Slavia smiled. Well, we have half a camp of such guys, if it comes to that. Oh no, they were right. Why are you asking? It just seems that I met him today in a quinky-dink, and it seems like I haven't met him before. Here. Look in the canteen. I don't think you'll miss lunch. Why didn't I think of that? That's so weird, but that's it. Okay, guys, enjoy your meals. I have some deducing to do. I got up and slowly started to walk along the rows of tables, all weird-like and stalkerish. Lena and Jenny are sitting over there. I gave them a friendly smile. Alyssa and Oyana are laughing and arguing about something, like always. Olga Dmitrievna is surrounded by pioneers. Good thing she didn't notice me. There are hardly any free seats, but the guy from this morning is nowhere to be seen. The situation is getting more and more interesting. Looks like I won't find him here. Maybe he already had lunch. Who knows? I headed to the exit though. Wait, didn't you both leave to go to lunch at the same time? So he would be there. It was so hot outside though that it seemed like you could instantly melt after coming out of the shade. I suddenly felt like sleeping. You always feel like sleeping. I yawned and headed to the camp leader's cabin in order to follow the domestic interpretation of the Archimedes principle. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna was unlikely to return anytime soon, or at least I think so, and I would definitely have a couple hours to rest. Anyways, I don't really expect any other options to arise, especially in this heat. You can go swimming in the beach and see more bikini boobs. The heavenly coolness in the cabin became my salvation. I took my clothes off and jumped into bed. Crickets were lazily chirping outside, and the wind was shaking the curtains of the window, and I sank into a dream. Nice nap. Knocking on the door woke me up. The knock was soft and insistent. I reluctantly got up and went to open it. I will bet it's Lena. Strangely, there was no... Okay. Well, I guess you win this bet. You. I rubbed my eyes and stepped out to look around. All the same, no one around. A dream, maybe. Maybe my other self, is like a prankster. Who knows? It was already 4 o'clock. I felt jaded. I probably shouldn't have slept in the afternoon. After all, I knew what was going to happen. I put on my boots, left the cabin, and locked the door. But where shall I go? All in all, there is not much time till dinner. A sudden thought came to me, and it would be nice to refresh myself, so I went towards the bench. You always go to the bench. I feel a routine going on here. You wake up, go to a bench, go eat lunch, be like, I'm tired, go back, repeat. The sun has passed the midday mark a while ago. It gets dark early here in the south. I squinted and looked up at the flaming disc. Who was that just now? I flinched. Hey, me. The same mysterious guy was standing in front of me. and once again his face was hard to see due to the bright light. For a moment the sun blinded me so I could not see anything besides the faint contours of the objects. Are you stalking me? Nope, I was just passing by again for the 4th time just today. Then you should know better. So you haven't seen anyone? Correct. I rubbed my eyes, but it did not help. Why didn't I see you on lunch? I asked bluntly. I wasn't hungry. He laughed. Okay, let me blink one more time. When my vision came back, the pioneer miraculously disappeared. What the heck is going on here? Now I'm obviously sure that there's something strange about that guy. He must be directly related to everything happening around here. And we'll have to find out. But for starters, it's good to confirm that I'm not mistaken, and that he's not a local pioneer. Yep, I figured you'd go to the beach. You know, there's always has to be a fan service beach scene, at least 2. It looks like everyone from the camp was here. Well, no wonder, it's so hot outside. Look at me, Janeth was standing just a bit further apart from everyone, keeping an eye on our army of pioneers. As soon as I thought that was coming, here might not have become the best idea, she noticed me. Oh hey. Hi. You should wear more of a bikini than just 3 strands of cloth. But hey. You weren't at the lineup, and in general you're just lounging around all day. I did not know how to answer. And now how are you planning on becoming a proper pioneer? She continued more softly. Look at me you have in the camp. Is there a pioneer who looks a lot like me? She looked surprised. Maybe, I don't know. Why do you ask? Oh, I'm just curious. Well, we have a lot of boys here. Alright, never mind. Sorry for asking, goodbye. Someone's yell came from the riverside and looked at me and Jeff to rush in this direction. Well, it looks like I'll be spared a lecture. I lowered myself onto the sand and stared at the pioneers laying in the water. After a few minutes of sitting here, Yana approached me. Oh hey, why so sad? I'm not sad. Well, why are you sitting here all alone? Oh, I'm just thinking about things. Stuff. I decided to spare my story about that mysterious pioneer. Well, imagine that you're chatting with a weird person. And he happens to be yourself, and he's very weird. He may even be a prankster. Simple. I would just ask them. Too simple. But he won't answer. How do you know? Have you tried asking? No, but it's obvious. Liana didn't answer. Just sat down next to me and let out a tired sigh. I'm all swimmed out. And what if they know something but won't tell you? You make them. But how? For a bit longer we sat together talking about random things and I got up, said goodbye and left away. Goodbye. It's time to find a mysterious stranger and you can get on with the answers. The first place to visit was the bus stop because who knows? After all, this is where it all began. The road was empty as always. Only small dust tornadoes were occasionally visible on it. I was ready to turn around and go back to camp, but then I heard someone whisper. Don't trust them. Oh, hi me. Someone was sitting behind the monument. The pioneer was sitting there with his back to me. And once again the voice seemed strangely familiar. Who are you? I took a few steps towards him. Stop! Don't come any closer. For some reason I froze my tracks. From somewhere deep inside an assurance came to me and I understood that I shouldn't argue with him. Alright, I'll stay here. Have you seen him? Talk to him? He asked nervously. Who are you even talking about? He was dressed in a pioneer uniform. You know who. And I definitely did not know. He was talking about the weird pioneer I saw earlier. I definitely did know, yeah. I'm smart. I answered after a few moments of silence. What did he tell you? The pioneer asked in a pleading tone. Nothing really. Did he give you advice? Did he tell you what to do? Threaten you? No, nothing like that. Of course he seemed pretty weird, but nothing more than that. Remember, he may not be alone, or more likely. He is alone, but you may meet many pioneers that look like him. And what about you? Who are you? Who are you hiding from? You will understand. Wait a second. The pioneer who talked to me, I'm going to just assume he is me, for my future. And he says that he came here multiple times already. So maybe what's happening is that I actually am still at my little house in my little computer room and stuff, but every summer I get like teleported here or something. If that works out, that's my theory. If my theory is right, I'm going to be the smartest world. Yeah, you understand. In time. Just remember, the most important thing is to find the exit. Okay. All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind came through, ripping leaves from trees and throwing an old paper bag at my face. Shooting myself, I averted my eyes. When I looked back at the monument, the pioneer was already gone. At that moment, I was overwhelmed by fear. Real, almost tangible fear. I remember being scared during my first hours at this camp. But back then, everything seemed so kind and friendly. Now Silverknock revealed its fangs, getting ready to eat me. And ahead, the unknown. My body was covered in goosebumps, my throat was dry and my hands were shaking. I tried to ignore it all and headed back to camp. It was already dinner time, but I had no desire to go to the canteen. After meeting the second mysterious pioneer, just thinking about the locals made me, if not afraid, then at least creeped out. I don't even know who or what they all are. And even though nothing had happened yet, it does not mean I can trust them. I stopped in front of the clubhouse, but then realized that this is not the best spot to be at. I could run into something, which is not something I wanted to do with this monument. Almost running, I hurried towards the forest and walked a few meters along the path before finally stopping. On one side, the mysterious pioneer, well, two of them to be precise. On the other, all the inhabitants of this campus seemed absolutely normal. Either way, my decision to stand back and let everything resolve itself was under some serious pressure. At this point, it was clear to me. I had to do something on my own. But what exactly? Everyone is probably having dinner, so I had a good chance to make it to Olga Dmitrievna's place without being noticed. I decided to first take my clothes I wore and arrived along with my cell phone. I won't be able to come up with a solid plan right after that, so for the time being I might as well hide in the forest. I leaped up the steps and entered the building. My clothes were right where I left them and my phone was where it was supposed to be, under my pillow. I quickly grabbed it and was ready to stuff it in my pocket, but I noticed something on the screen. The message window was open. The text read, "You're wrong, Semyon. You are so wrong." It felt like my soul had left my body. I froze in the spot. I was shaking, my blood was pumping so hard. It felt like my skull was going to burst open from pressure. It took at least a full minute for me to come back to my senses. Olga Dmitrievna could have typed in the message, or one of the pioneers. It's easy to figure out how to do it, even if they're not familiar with this technology. But no one besides me should know where I keep my phone. This event was the straw that broke the camel's back. I rushed out of the house, determined never to come back here. That's not what I would do. And I fell on the campgrounds. I'd been sitting in the woods for a few hours, trembling at every noise. The spot that I chose was far away from the path, so it would be hard to find me. I was keeping a few plans in my head for the time being. To try and run, to kill every single person in the camp. However, on the other hand, one thought chased me and I realized that I shouldn't have behaved like this because of some strange pioneer, or even because of that message on the phone. All of this reinforcing that I thought that everything happened here was far from normal. However, there was no proof anyone in the camp had anything to do with it. I could have stayed here until morning, lost in my own thoughts, but heard footsteps coming from somewhere nearby. You. So you decided to escape after all. I turned around but couldn't see the pioneer's face in the dark. Nevertheless, I was pretty sure that it was him. I wasn't afraid then. More precisely, I was so physically exhausted I was prepared for any possible course of events, and somehow managed to reason appropriately to maintain the conversation. I wouldn't call this an escape. I answered slowly, stretched every word. Huh? Then what is it? A tactical retreat. Brilliant. He burst into laughter. Listen, why don't you tell me what's going on? Who are you and what do you want from me? Why did that guy tell you at the gate? What? It seems that he didn't even hear my question. He told me not to trust you. I lied. But on the other hand, I thought that was what he meant. Well, that's always the way for him. Running away, hiding. I could hear irritation in his voice. I'm not sure what kind of circus you're running here, but I'm not going to be a part of it. Oh, why not? You're the star after all. I couldn't see his face, but I bet he was smiling. I explained my part to me then. You know, I was like you in the beginning. The first time everything went peacefully. Then I escaped. I tried to understand what was going on. Got mad even. Tortured them to get the truth. He laughed crazily. I shivered. But it was pointless. Continued the pioneer after calming down a bit. Pointless. And then I began to notice the lapses. At first I just heard their voices, from a distance and sometimes in my head. Then vague silhouettes appeared. Then they slowly took on physical form. And finally stepped into my world. I could touch them, introduce them to other pioneers. And they were all different. Different. You get it? Different. He started shouting. It recurred again and again. You can get used to the loops, but... Then I learned how to get into the worlds myself, to interact with the others. But it turned out I'm not alone. There are lots of us. Today you saw at least one more. He fell silent. I didn't know what question to ask. I didn't want to interrupt his story, so I simply waited. After a minute he continued. It's not that simple, of course. And it's not always possible. Only under certain circumstances. When you feel strong emotions, for example. I instantly remembered how I saw him the first time. The time when I didn't feel any emotions at all. Including the moments when you feel happy. As if he was reading my thoughts. I see. So you're trying to say that there are several parallel worlds including the same camp with inhabitants where I'm replaced by you or the guys that I met at the bus stop. Yeah, something like that. I got it right. Somewhat or another. But I got it correct. You go in loops and come back to this place. Except it's kind of some sort of weird dimensional traveling thing. But hey, I'm somewhat right. In the end, it's clear that whatever happens here is beyond the limits of human understanding. And this theory didn't even seem all that unusual. But you said something, that everything recurs? Yeah, it recurs. And what will happen afterwards? You start from the very beginning. You wake in the bus, come to the camp, meet Olga Dmitrievna and the girls, electronic. But if it happened to you, then why should it happen to me as well? It happens to everyone. Once again, he laughs hysterically. And how many loops have you experienced so far? I stopped counting them already. At first I tried to remember them though. Maybe a few hundred. No wonder. It was very clear to me that this guy was suffering from progressing mental dysfunction. But you searched for a way out, didn't you? You didn't answer. That's what the guy at the bus stop was talking about. Because he understands nothing, dang it! He shouted. Because he's just like you, constantly running away, hiding. What should you suggest then? If I had any suggestions, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. Alright, but what were you trying? Are you trying to understand what I know, since I've been around here for a long time? He asked cheerfully. Well, that's evident. Yeah, I did try to run away from here. There. He waved towards the forest. There's nothing there. Nothing but trees. When I'd been walking there for several days and finally passed out, I found myself in the bus again. Same for walking along the road. It's endless. Talking to somebody about that is pointless. You probably already understood that by yourself. Yeah, I did. I interjected. Even if you try to explain your situation directly, at best you'd just be considered an idiot. What if you try not to leave the bus? It's pointless. Sooner or later you'll be found. I even tried to spend the entire time there. In the end I fell asleep and everything started from the beginning. And what if you start it by yourself and leave? No keys. I don't even find any carjacking skills. A cursed cycle. Exactly. A long silence fell. Finally asked. But what about the people around here? Don't they raise absolutely reasonable suspicions? Suspicions? Laughter again. The only thing that is suspicious about them is that no matter how much you tell them, they stare at you with their eyes and stalks. The people. I feared at them first too. But then I used them for a different experience. And now I don't consider them humans. They're dolls, puppets. You can easily predict any reaction, any word or action. Wait, did I say that twice? Yeah, oh, I said reaction and action, okay. So they weren't worth fearing, are they? The one worth fearing is yourself, he said softly. Do you know how funny it is when human bones crack as they slowly break from distension? Looks like he was finally lost his marbles. Listen, I understand everything, but the other thing that's a bit too much too. But it doesn't matter. Nobody but you is real here. The pioneer suddenly fell silent. Well, no, I don't agree with you. You're probably thinking, why did I check this all by myself, aren't you? Why didn't I try to reach the nearest village or town? Yeah, I did have such thoughts. Why wasn't I suspicious? Why was I doing different stuff instead of searching for answers? Well, yeah. Forget about it. That's normal. We all behave like this for the first time here. But how many others have you seen so far? Not that many. The pioneer is lost in thought. About 10 people, maybe. But I'm sure there are many more of them. And is everyone, like this? In fact, yes. Only the details are different, but the main thing is invariable. There's no way out of here. By the way, you're just like a majority of them. The only thing that differs is that you have heard everything from me instead of experiencing it for yourself. I don't know if I should thank him for that. Well, and what now? Nothing, he said shortly. I closed my eyes and lost myself in thought. That was a critical mistake. When I opened my eyes, I didn't see anybody, just like in the previous times. So it's clear what's going on now. But in fact, how could everything he said guide me to an answer? Yeah, I'm not alone. Yeah, everything occurs. But what's the reason for all this? And what is more important? Where's the way out? The only useful thing that is extracted from that conversation was the local inhabitants were not worth fearing. And that was quite significant for me now, since it was much better to sleep in a warm cabin instead of a forest. I sighed, took my things and headed towards the camp. As I was walking, the conversation with my fellow sufferer popped up in my mind every now and again. Why not ask him about the message on my phone and some other stuff? There were hints after all. Maybe if I found some details out, but I could have found some drawn conclusions. However, it didn't seem like a meeting here would be the last one. The lights are out and old meeting at his cabin. On. I opened the door and went in. Speak of the devil, here you are. The camp leader said angrily. Olga Dmitrievna, I'm so tired now, so put off the lecture, please. Tired of what, I wonder? Everything, I snapped rudely. The camp leader looked at me with surprise. I fell into bed without undressing. Semyon, a role model pioneer shouldn't have behaved like that. And how should I behave then? Well, not like that. The camp leader stumbled for a moment as if struggling to pick the right words. He should respect his seniors. I respect you immensely for sure. Semyon. The sarcasm in my voice didn't go unnoticed. And now I'd like to sleep. Wait, By the way, how far is the nearest town? When does the bus arrive and how can I even get out of here? I asked in a surprisingly calm voice. There was no answer, and there shouldn't have been any. I said all this in order to get rid of her. Why are you silent? I'm tired, so let's talk about that tomorrow. The camp leader got up and turned off the light. Yeah, it's all just like that guy said. Why did I speak to him so calmly and properly, I wonder? I should have been shivering from horror. That pioneer didn't have much credibility, but I had the feeling that he was unable to harm me. As soon as I thought that would be a good idea to ask someone else, fatigue took over me and I passed out.